Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everybody, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm here live in Kona, Hawaii. Yes, I have been here almost 2 weeks now, and people are wondering if I'm coming back home to Seattle. And yes, I will be coming home on Sunday. I'm only here this week because I'm doing a solo retreat in my favorite place to heal and rebuild and relax, and that is Kona. Kona is my happy place. Ironman Hawaii was a week ago on Saturday, and the awards banquet was Sunday last week, and then everyone pretty much flew home last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's some people still here that are Ironman, because I can tell because they still have their race bracelets on. Most people I think that are still here are from Europe, so I know when we go to Europe, we usually go 2 weeks because it's such a long flight. So I think that's why Europeans are staying here a little longer. Maybe they went to a different island. But I'm here studying this week for my finals to become a FDN practitioner that I've been talking about in the show lately. And that's just part of my new journey to focus on coaching athletes and coaching people who have chronic stress disease, or in FDN we call it metabolic chaos, and identifying those hidden internal stressors with functional lab testing. So I'm working on my practicals. I had practical 1 and 2 to go through and write up the answers for my fake client Brad. And now I have 2 case studies I'm starting to work on. I have a verbal exam. I already finished the written exam. That was 62 questions. That took me, did that in August, and I probably need to submit that because it'll probably take months for them to review because it's a little long. It's like 80 pages long. So the way I learn is just immersing myself into a project and just staying in a hotel or staying in a condo as I am by myself, and working on something day after day. And this is how I wrote my book, Life's Not a Race. It's how I wrote the manual, the Holistic Method workbook. And, you know, nutritional therapy practitioner a few years ago. Now it's the FDN Practitioner course. And all of this stuff I've been working on since my journey started with so-called adrenal exhaustion in 2013 is coming together. As I closed my fitness studio on October 1st, as part of the reason I came to Kona to work at Ironman Hawaii, put on our low carb athlete seminar and had some events I was able to be invited to attend at Ironman Hawaii. And I also just had to leave because it was so emotional, feeling like a failure and closing a business and having to answer everyone's questions. And I had to auction off my fitness studio equipment. And the best solution to heal yourself is just to leave town. So I left. I've been gone 2 weeks and let the auction people, they took a big chunk of what I earned. So, you know, they can deal with it. And anyways, I'm here working on my new journey, and that's finally to focus on what I wrote in my book, 2015, Life is Not a Race, It is a Journey. The book I wrote, the Holistic Method Manual. The podcast we started back in 2011 called Fit, Fat, Fast, and we have 100 episodes on the archives about how we can eat fat to burn fat, how to be more metabolically efficient. We talked about maffetone training. We talked to Dr. Tim Noakes. All this stuff I did back in 2011, and I'm finally able to focus on building that coaching business now. It was too much for me to focus on trying to be a successful small business owner and do this stuff. So I'm not very good at multitasking, which is why I probably got my adrenal exhaustion. And I find myself always struggling just to do one thing and focus on this gecko that is walking in front of me on the railing. Focus. It's like squirrel at home. I've got geckos here distracting me. Anyways, my focus now is to work on coaching athletes, as I said, online with my 30-day reset, repair, and rebuild fat loss program, which I have going on now, and I'm going to be running that 30-day program monthly and taking 10 to 20 people. I'm recruiting people for November challenge now to have 10 men and 10 women. Even though it's an American holiday in there, Thanksgiving, I don't think it's a big deal. You can, we'll be into our phase 3, which is maintenance, 80-20, and there's tons of easy ways to be low carb, high fat when Thanksgiving comes along. Because if you're doing keto carnivore that I teach people about, it is easy to do on Thanksgiving. It's just getting out the sugary stuff and make it more fat desserts. So I am doing that program with people now, and then I'll be starting my FDN Practitioner coaching program for individuals who want to do some health building coaching. So what an FDN Practitioner is about is, well, let's go what FDN stands for. It means F is for functional, D is for diagnostic, N is for nutrition. And the functional means that we're working with and respecting the innate intelligence of the body, how the body really works, and its desire for equilibrium and balance, so homeostasis. And the D is for diagnostic, to identify healing opportunities that evoke a healing response while identifying and removing obstacles to recover. So contributors to metabolic chaos, we do that with functional lab testing. And then the N's for nutrition, to nurture, feed the cells, tissues, and organs and systems to provide everything the body genetically needs and requires to reach optimal health homeostasis. So we're teaching people how to identify the external stressors, which we might know or we might not know that, chronic exercise is a chronic stressor. People in your life that cause constant stress, maybe family members, maybe your job, maybe your boss, your coworkers, friends that just are people that you are acquaintances that maybe cause you to be stressed and anxious. So there's a lot of external stressors, as well as environmental, the products that you use in your household, your cleaning supplies, your skincare, your makeup. Those are environmental toxins, as well as the air we breathe. So there's those external toxins, external stressors. But there's also hidden internal stressors that we don't know where they are or what they are unless we test. And that's what FDN's about. It's about identifying those with functional lab testing, identifying hormone imbalances, immune issues, dysfunction. And by the way, your immune system's 70% in your gut, so you can kind of see how gut health ties into everything that I'll talk about. And then we've got digestion dysfunction, which is contributing to, they all contribute to each other. So we'll go into that later. But immune, hidden means hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy systems, and N is for nervous system. And we all know about the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. We've talked a lot about that, HRV testing, sympathetic dominance. But think about how they all overlap. So what I love about FDN that no one did for me when I was searching for help, this program I've wanted to do since 2011, when I used to listen to Sean Croxton interview Reed Davis a lot in his podcast he used to have. And I always wanted to do this because this makes sense to me. If you're just treating the lab results, you're not figuring out what is going on and looking at the whole picture. So FDN is so different and unique that it's an opt-in self-care, that there's no magic pill that you are going to get from your doctor or naturopath, functional medicine person that's going to fix you. It's a self-care program to get better. It's healing and rebuilding that you need to do with the right tools. So we create protocols for you based on all this information that we'll collect in clinical correlation, your main complaints, your health history, your genetics, with your lab results, the 5 main labs we suggest doing. It's not a medical approach. We're not doctors. Medical approach is treating specific diseases or provides a diagnosis to managing symptoms only. Instead, as an FDN practitioner, I work in a non-specific manner to identifying your healing opportunities and your underlying causes, versus medical treatment is probably going to just give you medications, prescription drugs, and or surgery. Like someone just told me that they had part of their colon taken out, and people get their gallbladder taken out. And that's a lot of times the solution when people maybe they waited too long and didn't get the right healing program to be on to fix the problem, but they go see a doctor when something hurts or is painful and medication doesn't work. The next step is just to remove it, and your body needs those parts, especially your colon, especially your gallbladder. There's no reason to take it out most situations. So we apply these wellness principles on a health rebuilding journey with observations along the way, and we identify those obstacles and figure out how to overcome those things that get in your way and create opportunities to go through it and overcome your challenges that you face. And the main goal is to restore your balance, your homeostasis in the body with all the body systems, just like the sympathetic dominance versus the parasympathetic dominance. We want balance between the two. We want balance between your cortisol hormone and your DHA hormone. We want balance between your hormones like estrogen and progesterone, and not too much of anything, not too little of anything. So as I always said in my book, more is not better, but too much of anything can be toxic and too little of something can be deficient. And we want to find that right amount, and that's so individual. So I call it the Goldilocks effect, which I know other people call now a lot of things. Goldilocks effect is it's the right amount for you, but everyone is individual. So there is no one size fits all. That people always ask me, what to eat and how much of this to have and what are your macros. And just had some guy after swimming today ask me these same questions. I'm like, you know what? It's all about you, and it's different, and everyone's gut health is different. And that's why my 30-day group program is teaching you how to flip the switch and become fat adapted by being a low carb athlete. But to do that, we go about it in a different way. Instead of only focusing on what you're eating and being low carb, high fat, keto carnivore, whatever works for you, the main goal is to balance your blood sugar. So we avoid those insulin surges and get your body switching to depend on that 40,000 to 80,000 calories of fat we have available in our body, instead of going through your day being a carb burner, which makes no sense to me. Why should we be dependent on a gas tank that only has 2,000 calories available? So every time you deplete that gas tank, you have to refill it. So you end up eating throughout the day way too much and too many calories, too many carbs, and you're on that blood sugar roller coaster with probably a lot of mood swings. So teaching your body to be a fat burner is a really important part. But part of my health coaching program and to be a fat burner is to optimize your health, improve performance with digestive repair and reset. With a liver detox program as our phase 1, we work on some intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, bone broth fasting. We work on having liver detox tea, and we use some apple cider vinegar, and we get the right supplements to take and start this new journey. And it's not a diet. I keep telling my clients now that are in my October program, yes, we'll go to phase 3. That's how to do this in real life, and 80% of the time do this. I tend to eat this way most of the time, and being strict, but once you pass a certain point, sometimes you can have a cheat meal, but get back on it the next day. Maybe you went overboard and you had too many carbs or too much alcohol. Well, we're doing a fast on Monday. We're doing a bone broth fast, 6 cups of bone broth in your 8-hour window. Sip on it throughout the day and reset, recalibrate. So my program for groups will be monthly 30-day programs. Phase 1 is a 5-day detox. Phase 2 is a 21-day digestive repair and reset, rebuild. And then phase 3 is maintenance. How do we transition into real life? And I tell my clients this all the time, that there's not a right time. It's not a wrong time to do this program. That life is always busy. So people always say, oh, I can't do it this month. I have this dinner, I have this auction, I have this vacation. And what do I say back? That means to me, this is a perfect time to do this program, because that's real life. And we need to know how to deal in those situations when they come around. So this weekend, you're going out of town wine tasting for 2 days. Well, we need to figure out strategies how to be successful in your eating choices, and maybe, what you can do to balance your blood sugar out. So when you go have wine, I'm going to have you have some olives and salami and cheese and some nuts with it, and have some activated charcoal at night, and make sure you're drinking extra water with sea salt in it. But we have to plan ahead and know how to deal in those real life situations. When you go on vacation, how do you go through the day? Maybe you add some extra exercise in there with some intervals on some stairs or whatever it is. It's so individualized, but that's what my 30-day group program is. Now, being an FDN practitioner, I'll be working one-on-one with people for probably 6 months. It's a 90-day program or longer, because we need retesting of the labs. So what we do as the FDN practitioner is we take your health building journey with a Dress for Health Success protocol, which is your nutrition, diet. I hate the word diet, but nutrition, your eating plan, and working on R for dress is rest, and working on your sleep hygiene, exercise, stress management, and supplementation. Now, the supplementation is very individualized, because that's going to be based on our whole health detective work we'll do to unravel your metabolic chaos and the contributors or cause of metabolic chaos by doing these 5 labs to identify your hidden internal stressors and dysfunction that correlate with your health complaints. So that's your hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. And we don't use the traditional medical model ranges to put you on normal. Those are normal based on sick people. We're going to use our FDN lab values that put you in optimal health, especially if you're an athlete and your focus is performance and longevity. The lab values that a doctor gives you are not where you want to be. You want to be above that probably. So our next step is taking these labs and then creating that specific protocol for you, the Dress for Health Success program, and coaching up your vital reserve and coaching down those metabolic chaos contributors. So your vital reserve is going to come from your diet, rest, exercise, stress, and supplementation. And then we just start this transformational program based on your lab results and how we need to reassess and recorrect as we go through your journey. But then retesting probably 60 to 90 days, do the labs again to identify healing opportunities if we need to recorrect anything and reassess. But the functional labs we do as FDNs to start with, and then we can do more. But there's 5 basic labs I'll have my clients take, part of my health building program. This is the individual program. This is not my 30-day fat loss program. So the functional labs for one-on-one coaching is the BioHealth 205 stress profile, plus it gives 5 hormones. The BioHealth 101 lab, that's the metabolic assessment profile. And then we've got the BioHealth intestinal permeability test, which is leaky gut. And BioHealth 401H is our GI pathogen screening. And then our 5th test is the MRT food sensitivity test. So we also suggest clients using the advanced online metabolic typing test that we'll send a link to for those interested in doing. It's kind of good to see if you're a slow or fast oxidizer. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm studying here in Hawaii, and I'm being a good girl and doing what I said because my husband's at home in Seattle and the rain started, and I'm here by myself and I feel guilty. So I am being disciplined. Wake up, I work an hour or so and 2 hours, and then I go for a swim, and then I come back, work, and then I go for my run. Now I'm working again. Then I'll, go outside and take a break, because it's working for 7 days is kind of tiring, especially by yourself. But I've been having social plans, including tonight. It's Huggos. Have you ever been to Huggos here? It's their 50th anniversary party. So I'm excited to be invited to go with Lava Man people. We'll have a table I'm invited to, so we get some good seafood and fish tacos they're having, and some steak and yummy fish ahi torched before you, it says. And so that's what I'm doing tonight, and then go back to studying Saturday and Sunday, then fly home. But hopefully you've read my book that I'm actually going to start talking about more after 4 years later. I'm promoting myself. But the book I have, Life is Not a Race, is on Amazon. And I also have the Holistic Method Manual and Workbook. Now, I know there's some spelling errors because I had 5 editors and they all did a poor job, so someone needs to edit it again. But just go through the book. If you're an athlete, you'll relate to me, to my story a little bit more, and you'll probably understand why I'm on this mission to be a health coach myself now, to help other people like myself avoid going through my chronic stress disease, or metabolic chaos we call it, and help others heal and rebuild themselves. And healing is not anyone else can do for you. What I learned writing my book and trying to get myself healthy, I was blaming everybody else for being a bad practitioner, a bad naturopath, and a bad health coach. But it is all on me to change my lifestyle habits. No one can make me be disciplined about what I choose to eat, when I choose to go to bed, when I exercise, how hard I push myself, or when I need a recovery day and listen to my red flags. That's up to you. So having a health coach will guide you and support you and keep you on course, but you can't depend on them to make you healthier. It's self-treatment. It's a self-opt-in program, and it's so important to understand that. I spent years trying to get myself better. I have started training more distance the last couple of years, and I'm going to try Ironman Canada 2020 because it's back in Penticton, and hopefully do Honu half Ironman and Lava Man, because I'm actually going to be working at it. So everyone should do Lava Man April 5th in Waikoloa outside of Kona. And I want to help people train, if they're training for races, to train properly. And I'm not necessarily needing to do your swim, bike, run workouts, but I'll do the Holistic Method coaching program with people, teaching them the 8 elements of the Holistic Method are nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, movement, mobility. And then we've got, of course, digestion, gut health, hydration, which is very important, and happiness, play, which I'm a big fan of. I think we all need to let loose a little bit, smile and play more. And especially watching Ironman finish line last Saturday, I was watching people at the finish line. Granted, it's a hard day and you're exhausted, but come on, you're at the finish line, shoot, put a dang smile on your face. So I felt like I was the smile police, trying to get everyone to smile before they went to the finish line. But I found this last week to be interesting to see the evolution of the low carb athlete. And the seminar I put on with Paul Larson, Garmin, Andy talked a little bit, and we had Matt Bach from UCAN talk a little bit, and myself. I didn't talk as much as I had planned, and we shortened the seminar because the waves were so loud, and I tried recording it, but you can't hear anything. The microphone was supposed to be set up, speakers, and they didn't have the right cable wire. So, oh well, that's life. But I am interested to talk to some athletes that raced here last week, and I'm going to start interviewing other low-carb athletes on Fridays to share their story with you to help inspire others, because there's not enough people doing low carb. We've been talking about this for years, and I see all these other podcasts and Facebook group pages for the fat adapted athlete, endurance athletes, keto athletes. They're growing, and Peter Defty and I are going to do more regular podcasts, and I'll do a webinar on October 30th and hoping to have Peter join me. So you can go to my website, debbiepotts.net, and sign up for the free webinar. But I'm going to start doing those webinars monthly. I just feel like we need to collaborate with all these other people in the low carb industry, also the people looking at recovery and repair as ICOR. We're going to do a seminar and have Tim DeBoom come on the show. I'm going to talk to Tim O'Donnell about his experience with UCAN, and he's not necessarily eating low carb, but he's having a fuel source that balances his blood sugar, and that's a slow release. Also going to have Paul Larson come back on the show and talk about maffetone training, the HIIT science he's done, and how you don't always need to do low heart rate. Sometimes you can do some interval training. And I had some questions come in from you listeners, which I love, and I'll talk about those a little bit more too. So I will finish up today's show, but just saying that some observations I saw last week. There's a lot of people training for Ironman race week, and probably a lot of people here are just spectating, but people are still drinking Gatorade, which is sugar water. And it cracks me up, the Gatorade articles, and even though, Ironman needs sponsors, Aleve and Gatorade were their sponsors in Vegas Sports, but it's because no one's going to make money off of selling real salt, Himalayan sea salt, and putting that in your water. That's really what you need to hydrate with, not Gatorade. So all these people doing Gatorade is just sugar water with some electrolytes. It's pretty cheap or almost nearly free to have some water with sea salt. So filtered water, get your real salt, carry it with you. It's a lot easier to do. That's all you need. So when people go swimming, they have this, I saw people having their Gatorade bottle. I saw people having goo gel blocks, goo gels, bars. We don't need all those carbs and all those sugar, especially when we're doing a lower heart rate workout. We're using fat for fuel, ideally. And people by now, especially here at the World Championships, should be metabolically efficient, should be able to train at higher heart rates and still be burning fat. When I was training my best, I started Ironmans in 2001, and my last one was 2012, and I've done some halves since then, but just not at my high performing level I used to be. I did 3:12 Boston Marathon, a 3:17 Boston Marathon, and I was metabolically efficient. I was stronger and faster, and I could go up to 160 heart rate and still burn a high percentage of fat. That is because the way I was training and fueling. But what I'm going to talk about more in an upcoming webinar, especially in October on the 30th, coming up soon in 2 weeks here, I'm going to talk more about the chronic stress. Even if you're doing this lower heart rate work, it's so essential to work on nutrition, but the other elements of the holistic method. You have to train the whole athlete from the inside out. That's my focus. Everyone's different. Yes, you can count your macros. I have everyone do the Keto Mojo glucose and keto measurement in my 30-day program. But it's the stress that if you don't know your internal stressors, nothing's going to really improve until we identify those hidden stressors. So some people can make these adjustments and become fat adapted and feel great. They don't have digestive issues, but most people have internal stressors coming from foods that they're reactive to, having gut dysfunction, having pathogens, bacteria, overgrowth, having fungal infections, parasites. So there's all this stuff going on that I think are contributing to these hidden stressors contributing to your metabolic chaos. And so it's looking at the big picture and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So we'll be doing that more this off season, and going to the point earlier about maffetone training, we'll talk more about that and when to add some intervals, when to add some speed work. So I would also this off season, do my 30-day program, of course, but look at doing lab testing and get the genetic testing. Go to 23andMe, but ideally I've heard ancestry DNA is better if you haven't done it yet. And get your raw data, upload it into somewhere like DNA Fit, and get your genetic reports, because you'll learn a lot. We can add that into your individualized coaching program. So that is all for today. So now the podcast, I'm trying to get it on Mondays with my guests who I'm interviewing. Wednesdays will be myself doing health coaching, and maybe I'll have Peter on, Defty on with me on Wednesdays sometimes, every other week. And I'll talk about leaky gut next week and digestive repair, and we'll talk about lectins. I just want to do more health coaching with you, because I think a lot of these low-carb athlete coaching programs and websites are not talking about the importance of liver function and digestive function and repair. So if you want to reset, reboot, and rebuild the whole you, we need to do all of this. And that's my 30-day program. And doing my individual coaching, the FDN Practitioner work, I'll start next month. But I get losing my train of thought. But Fridays. Forgot where I was talking about. I'm talking about Fridays. I'm going to have you, the low carb athlete, come on the show, pre-record audio and video conversation with you, the low carb athlete who has questions, who's maybe had success, and share what you've learned and what hasn't worked, what's worked, and kind of go deep into your journey. So I want to have guests on the show on Fridays. So I've got a couple that I've met at Ironman Hawaii of low carb athletes. So we'll get them on the show next month, and let me know. Reach out to me via debbiepotts.net is where everything is. Facebook, it's Low Carb Athlete, and I have the Whole Athlete podcast. I wish Facebook would make it easier to merge pages, because I hate having more than one page to worry about. Less is more for me, as you know, and having multiple pages is a stress to me. So trying to just copy things on both. But the Whole Athlete podcast page on Facebook, and the Low Carb Athlete is where I'll put more research and articles. And then Instagram, it's where I post more of the pictures and my beautiful sunsets I've had here on the Low Carb Athlete page. And I should take a picture of these two geckos that are just cruising around my balcony here. But if you have questions, please reach out. I am focusing on all my energy to this podcast and my blog and my coaching programs, because this is my new business, Debbie Potts Coaching. So you can find all the updates, what I'm doing, my blog page on debbiepotts.net, and keep up with the podcast. I would go back to the archives and go back to 2011 when John Smith and I did Fit, Fat, Fast. We talked about all this stuff that's popular right now way back then. So I should probably figure out how to relaunch those old episodes, but go to the archives. They should all be there on the podcast page. All right, guys, so keep in touch, and thanks for joining me in my new journey. If you could share this on your social media, and your friends and your other athlete friends, would be great to get this message out, because it's an uphill battle and I can't do it on my own, and I need your help to grow the podcast and grow the low carb athlete. So I appreciate your time and your interest, and I love hearing from you. So I will respond back to your email. So just make sure you reach out to me via contact us on debbiepotts.net. All right, guys, I'm going to go back to studying, go for a little walk, and get my head back into my case studies to become an FDN practitioner so I can get my new health coaching business going soon. Aloha.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.